Hey guys, it's Angiespice here, and I am taking up from where I left off last episode. How am I going for lighting? Move it a bit. So last episode I was showing you how I character map and get my story elements into line. So let's take off from there. So we've started. We've got Geraldine, we've got Cassandra. So I am storyboarding. I'm not storyboarding. I'm just mapping out in my head all the characters and all the basic elements of the story. So let's look at some of the story elements. I've got the 1940s. I've got the Tasmanian tiger. I'll just write that down. Tasmanian tiger. So that's a story element. So these are really Courier themes, elements. So Tasmanian Tiger's thing, that's the time setting is 1940s as the main setting. What else have we got? I'm trying to fast track it because last episode I was just blah 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 blah. But you know, I want the nature of these videos to be to sort of show the creative process as it is. It's never like you do this, then you do that, then you know, you follow the process. It's not like that when you're creating. It is all over the place, and everyone's process is different as well. So I just kind of want to show you how I do work, and I don't want to plan anything. I don't want it to be all set up or anything. I just want to be authentic here. So Alright, so I was going to look at this. This is going to help. In Courier for Chaos at Cape Grim, I've got a strong theme on the Palawa people. They were the first Tasmanians, and you know, that's a big theme. Well, it's a sub element in my Courier series. So we got first Tasmanians. They were the first people to live in Tasmania prior to European invasion. First, so that's it. It's a huge element in Courier because, and that, you know, that really sort of incorporates the landscape of Tasmania. Landscape of Tasmania. Oh, and for anyone that's watching that isn't from Australia, that's like Tasmania is a state of Australia, but it's quite separate from the rest of the country. It's an isolated island. So these are more aspects of the story. I connect the landscape with the Palawa people because in Aboriginal spirituality, it's all to do with the connection between you and the land and you and nature, and I really experienced that on a holiday to Tasmania. So I think, you know, I guess when you're in nature you really feel one with nature, and I felt it so strongly there. I felt connected to the land, I felt connected to everything, and I wanted that to be an element in this story. Okay, so we've got that. So landscape. Tasmania's landscape. So that's very evident within like the first issue. We've got a lot of wild forest. Okay, anyway, let's focus now. So we've got the landscape, so that's Tasmanian wilderness. So, you know, I'm just trying to brainstorm everything here. Tasmanian wilderness. 1940s, we've got that. So we've got Tasmanian tiger. Oh, that's great. With the 1940s, we've got the influence of spirituality of Tasmania, and the origins. And I didn't really explain well enough before. Oh, I still got the Second World War. World War II is it's set during World War II, so that's something else to consider when building a story. What else do I cover here? Oh, okay. This is more of a story, a character thing. Geraldine, she originally in the series she worked as a courier. That's the name of the series because she got this job as a courier with the, I guess, you know, the Second World War kind of gave her this job because that's the way it was for women around the time. So I'll write that down. So we got it's kind of a shift in society. Women have to fill the workplace gap roles because there's a shortage of men to do these jobs because they have to go and fight in the war. So women are given kind of given a bit more freedom. So Geraldine's a courier and she works for the PMG. The PMG is it's short for the Postmaster General's Department, and that's kind of like the old post / communications company in Australia. So it's kind of like the government thing, isn't it? Company. So this is perfect for Geraldine because she wants to capture a thylacine on camera. So we've got photographer, I want to have camera because this is like a camera is a visual prop for her to have, which I probably should have incorporated more in the story, but camera. So that's her prop. Like, you know how you have to design. Maybe if this was like a medieval time, I don't know, story, then you know, and it was about a warrior, he would have like maybe a sword as a prop or something. Geraldine does have Purbly, and Purbly is her cat. He's actually a very old cat, and I was looking after a pair of these cats. I think they're Tiffany cat, and I fell in love with them. So I based a cat off them, and that's where Purbly came from. It's you know, it's quite a different experience creating with a pet. and I do miss that, and I really need it back actually, because they just bring, they give you so many ideas, and they, you know, they just do their own thing, but they're not in your face either. Okay, so what Purbly? So he's also part of her visual kind of merchandise. Okay, so that Courier, PMG. So that the Courier thing works because she as a character, her ambition is to she wants to capture a thylacine on camera to, I don't know, prove they're out there, and also to relate back to the time she spent with her father, and he would always take photos. So she just, it's just a sentimental thing. Okay, so Courier, camera. Okay, this is her. This is a character goal. She wants to capture a wild thylacine on camera. You know, as you're doing this, or as I'm doing this, I'm like, what the frick are you doing? Like, this is crazy, and none of this makes sense. And it may seem really stupid spelling out all these things, even though I've, you know, reinforced it a lot, but it's not. It's reaffirming things in your mind, and you, while you're doing all this brainstorming or recollecting, you think of things differently. And even now I'm thinking of things so differently, because I don't usually do this when I'm talking to, you know, a camera or you, so it's different. It's a different kind of focus as well, so it's really interesting, really interesting. So that's a goal of hers. She wants to capture a wild thylacine on camera. What else is her her goal? You know, I was listening to I was watching a documentary on Miyazaki, and he was talking about how characters have their own will, and that makes a lot of sense. So I think that's a better way of explaining it, because here I'm saying that there's a character goal, the goals that they want to achieve, which is something, but the character's will is like something else. Character's will. Character's will. And I think that means that characters will do what they you know, what's in their heart, and they will kind of like this, they're driven by their will. This is that driving. And at the end of the day, you've got to listen to this. You can't, sure, you know, you control the story, but you can't change their will. That's set in stone. So that's an important thing to keep in mind when you're story building. What's a good example of that? Well, Geraldine, for example, she's pretty strong-willed, and she's just gonna keep doing her own thing no matter what. Like, so in the story, I guess she gets thrown. Yeah, she gets told what to do, but she's never gonna listen to what they tell her to do, because she does her own thing anyway. That's a pretty basic example there. But, these are things that you don't really think about, but once he said that, it makes sense when you're, you know, developing a character in a story. So Geraldine, I'm trying to think of all the things. So we've got Katharine Hepburn is like a look, and also it's ended up being much to do with her. Let's have a little look and see what I can. So as I'm doing this, I might look back and be like, oh right. Okay, so she's got her car, and that's sort of like a representation of her being a courier, because this is a kind of like a government car. And prior to that, Geraldine wouldn't have had one, so it's really like it really goes with her job there. Oh, that's right. So this is like the original occupation she had, but in the 4th issue of Courier. After running in with the Japanese, because remember, it's during the time of the Second World War. and she ran into the Japanese. She just found like she was somehow running into all these spies, and these, oh god, someone's making a lot of noise outside, bloody hell. These secret agents sussed her out because they knew she was running into all this trouble, and like they recruited her, so she's no longer a courier. As of the 5th and final issue, she is now an agent. And you know, it's, I guess part of that is very typical of the era, especially when it comes to making comics, because during my adventures creating and getting out there, a lot of people are like, oh, she looks like oh no, I can't even think of her name, Captain America's girlfriend. I can't even think of her name right now, but I didn't even know who she was until I started releasing it. And I also get you know, I just can't think of the people right now, but you know, that's always going to happen, and it's probably a good thing that people can relate your character to other things, because I find like the more relation there is, the more likely someone is to explore it. Like people look at Geraldine and say, oh, Cruella de Vil, and I'm like, what? And then I understand, yeah, I understand as well, like I am inspired by her, but Geraldine's nothing like her, so but it's nice to have those notes, have that feedback as well, because a lot of your inspiration, you're not aware you're using it. Like here you would say, oh, I'm using it visually because she's smoking, she looks elegant, and people sort of see her as an anti-hero or a villain, not really the protagonist or anything, which is, you know, interesting. It's very interesting. Did it just get dark in here? Oh no, it's okay. Okay, so now she's an agent. So in the previous issue, which is issue 5, they tell her, oh, Geraldine, here we go, this is what she says. This is the agents that, it's really funny actually, because these agents were looking for Geraldine, and in the 4th issue, Evelyn, who just loves Geraldine, she wants to be her, she admires her, she has like stolen Geraldine's jacket and dressed up as it, as Geraldine. And I don't think a lot of people noticed that, but I thought that was pretty funny. It's interesting though, because I think, yeah, especially with my the Courier series, I've definitely put a lot of, maybe too many characters in there, but I can't help myself. So and you know, it's okay to do things that don't work, that may not strike with an audience. You know, I feel like myself, I'm learning every time I create something, and I don't stop, and that's what's going to make me a better creator or writer or drawer at the end of the day. So you just got to do it, really. Anyway, so alright, so they thought the secret agents are here because they're trying to find Geraldine Barker, and they find her, and she's like, actually, I'm not her. Why are you following me? Anyway, so there's like a 2-year gap between issue 4 and issue 5, and Geraldine's been working as a newly recruited secret agent because she just seems to attract the wrong kind of attention. She's a bit of an investigator, and she just sort of happens. Even though she has her own agenda is just to go off and travel and try and find the Tasmanian tiger. And as you read the series more, you discover that she's probably avoiding a lot of things in her personal life as well. Yeah, so, but as of this, in this scene, her recruiter is saying, oh, you know, you need a break, this war is, like, Second World War is really intense, Australia is probably going to be invaded by the Japanese, and they say, they can tell that there's stuff playing on Geraldine's mind. She's, here she's sort of thinking about her past, she's thinking about all sorts of things in her past, and they say, you know, just take a break and you know, just relax. And she's like, well, I'm already doing nothing. So this is a good example also of the will of the character. Geraldine isn't the kind of person to just sit around and do nothing. She wants adventure. She wants action, and she would jump at any opportunity to get back into the action. So they're telling her blah blah blah. So now I've completely lost track of where I was going here. So now she's an agent, and she finds her action again through the actions of the whole plot, which is, oh, I better write in Horace. Horace is, I would say, the key character to the final chapter of Courier. Where are you? Because his story is, oh my god, there's so much to explain. In a nutshell, he's a thylacine enthusiast, and he is throwing this thylacine ball because he wants to find more tigers, and he has a pet Tasmanian tiger, but he's keeping it hidden because he doesn't want anyone to steal his beloved Bitey, as he calls him. So he's got Bitey the tiger. But he has established this whole chapter because he wants to find Bitey's friends. In the last issue, he was thinking about how he was once a poacher of the tigers, and he wanted to create lots of fashion from them. He created pelts out of them, and then he would turn them into vests. And then the last tiger he had, he fell in love with him, and that is Bitey today in the story. But as the story stands at the moment, he wants to throw this thylacine ball and try and attract people that are really into the tiger and see whether they have any leads. It's pretty crazy. And he was also, this is where it gets tricky, having sort of like one episode, if you want to call it, over two different issues, because in this in issue 5, I've really established his backstory. His backstory is that he loved Lady Roberts, who was his hero. And Lady Roberts, as I mentioned last episode, she was she really wanted to save the tiger. She wanted to conserve the tiger. And when Horace was growing up, he looked up to her, and he wanted to learn, you know, and he wanted to say, he just loved her, and I think he really wanted to become the zookeeper of the Beaumaris Zoo in Hobart, but she sees him wearing tiger skin, and she is like, get out of my face. So that sort of makes his character evolve into the antagonist. He gets his revenge, he makes him into tiger pelts, and he comes back, turns around again, he falls in love with this animal, and Lady Roberts is long gone. So he wants to find Bitey's friends and make it all up to him, and I guess in a way make it up to Lady Roberts, even though she's long gone. So we've got Horace, who is behind the whole plot of this, the last half of Courier. Okay, so he has a real live tiger, live thylacine, Tasmanian tiger. Thylacine is just a scientific name for Thylacinus cynocepha. I don't know how to say it. So we've got him. We've also got I just want to check how we're going here. Okay, so here's Horace. So he loves the tigers. He wants to try and I guess he loves tigers from, like, because he's fallen in love with Bitey, his thylacine, the way that a man would fall in love with a new pet, so a pet dog, for example. So here's Bitey. Oh god.
You can't tell he's a tiger because you can't see his stripes. But
yeah, we've got tiger. He's, oh god, he's. I didn't make the paper big enough, but just quickly, I'll write. Derek is okay. When I was developing the idea of this story, Horace was going to be this. He was going to be the all the way out antagonist and be a real sort of evil guy. But you know, I kept seeing this older man because in the setting of the 1940s, he's an older man, or a middle-aged older man. He's not that old, but I wanted to see someone that was really sort of soft and crazy and full of love, but sort of softened by life, and you know, someone sort of very fragile and maybe a little senile, and a bit crazy as well, because he's a rich guy. Oh, I'm gonna be writing this. Rich. He's got a massive mansion, and I've made his mansion to be like out in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of nowhere. Okay, and I've got Derek. He's okay. So what I was gonna say is that, so Horace, I had this idea for him, but that kind of split into two different characters, which is, you know, I probably should have made a bit more difference between them, but you know, I'm really happy with how they've evolved. And Derek is he is a Nazi. He only became a Nazi spy because he wanted to find the tiger. So he this is him actually as a young boy reading about the tigers, and I show that he is quite unforgiving to people that stand in his way. So I'm sort of showing that he is an innocent boy. He's innocent. He's got ambitions, but if you're gonna like steal your dreams away from him, he is not gonna stand for it. So I wanted to show this obsessive, strong-willed character that will do anything for his passion. This is him growing up and agreeing to go to Tasmania. So I've got Derek, and he so this guy has, I guess, like, out of all the characters I've created so far, he will kill to get what he wants. Kill to get what he wants. And that becomes quite a threat to Geraldine, maybe, because, like, she has been up against comical bad guys, like Courier and Tim and Taylor, who are the original trio of bad guys. But here they are here. They're threatening her with a gun. She's like, what the heck? They think she's a spy because I guess she looks like one. I think in this, oh that's right, you find out in issue 4 that they're working for, she's working for some of the spies herself. So they're all bluffing here. Well, not everyone. What do you got? So they're kind of comical. They're not really a threat. They're not going to kill anyone. But she caught them out trading off all the old mine ore from the mine. I guess that'll fall back into so part of Tasmanian's, okay, so half the series is based around a place called Medina Town in Tasmania. And there was a lot of mining around that area. So I took the idea of the ore being left. A lot of mines closed down and opened up again, like, around that time, or I guess it wasn't really, it was, I did sort of change like a lot of the history here, but there was a lot of mining in Tassie, and a lot of the mines were abandoned and then taken up again. I guess that happens a lot with any mine, but that's also an aspect of what I guess it makes, you know, a little old town in Tasmania a little bit more exciting when there's something for criminal action to happen. Criminal action. So Derek, oh, I haven't drawn him. Just doing a Nazi hat. Derek is also quite good looking. He's buff, he's flamboyant, he's very likable, I think. And he's a threat to Geraldine because, you know, he's I guess he's hot, he's got charisma, he's very crafty. And a lot of men have been pretty soft, I think, in this series. Or containable, and Derek isn't containable. See here, he's in shadows. He's talking to Cora, who I haven't drawn yet. So Cora's like was the original baddie. Cora. Oh, I made him look like a kid then. But Derek, he this is Evelyn. Oh, so Evelyn, oh my god. I don't think I have time in this episode to show all my characters properly. Evelyn has stolen the show. She's kind of like the pseudo main character. And she kind of just took over the show on her own. So she's a singer. She grew up in a Medina town, and she was saved by Geraldine in a situation, and then she just thought, oh, this is my hero, and I'm going to become just like her, and I'm going to escape to Hobart and become a movie star. I think that, you know, that'll do for this episode. I hope I've touched on some more here, but maybe I'll just write this out and then show you. That's probably a better way. Although it's fun doing it this way. But I'll just quickly show you what I've done here. So it's really good to, you know, I'll continue doing this until I have every character, and it helps you sort of see hierarchy, character relation. It just all, having it all on the one page like this, I think, gives your story more structure. It makes you aware. It's easy to forget. So, you know, all the details, especially when you're working on something on your own, and especially when it's such an epic series. This is something I created the other day. So this is kind of like, I was brainstorming a page, kind of like I have in this thing, issue. So in this issue, I've sort of said the characters, and I've shown them at different dates to show how they've grown up in the story. But for the next issue, I'm not going to really have as many flashbacks. So I thought I could have each character introducing themselves in a kind of like, you know, behind the sort of set kind of style. And so Geraldine's like, hi, I'm Geraldine. I just discovered my best friend has been conscripted. So that's Pierre. I don't think I've really touched on yet. So that happens last issue. So she's sort of like, they're trying to tell you the story, what's happened and what you need to know and what they need to do to solve all their problems. That crazy fangirl comes running with a bizarre invitation. So what's happened in this episode or comic issue is that Evelyn's kind of running up. She's like, I've got this invitation to the thylacine ball that this crazy guy Horace is throwing on, and she gets cut off there. And then she's like, and then someone grabs it. So we've got Derek, who's grabbed it. It's sneaky though, because she's like, Geraldine, wait! I've got this invitation. It's a thylacine ball. Because she knows that Geraldine wants. She knows that Geraldine wants to get photos of tigers, and it's really weird. Like, it's during the Second World War. Who the frick would be holding this? And it's like, she's like, what are you on about? And then she notices that there's someone there, which is Derek, and he's creeping up, and he's gonna swipe it off her. Oh, he didn't get it. But what happens in between this issue and the next is I'm still deciding in the story, will I just, how I'm going to tie all this, what happens, and start off a new thing. So this is one of the ideas that I might throw in like after a little intro, or I might put it in before. And then someone grabs it from my hand, and wait a minute, did you like my performance? Because Evelyn, she's a singer, and she had this performance. It just so happened that everyone was there that night. You know, typical, right? Yeah. So here I'm sort of like tying in all the characters talking to themselves and trying to break some ice here between them and loosen them up. Yeah. So that's like how I get started, and I look forward to showing you more development. Thanks for watching. I'm Angie Spice, and I'll see you next time. Bye.